That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too.
We're talking about love today. We're going to be listening to The Divine Feminine by Mac Miller.
Shutting haters up, feel like Kobe Bryant. Ring on every finger, feel like Kobe Bryant. I'll be selling out arenas, feel like Kobe Bryant. All time great, I feel like Kobe.
What's up, guys? It's Doug, and today we are back for another video. You guys asked for it, you guys got it. You guys reacted pretty well to my my review of Good Morning or Good AM by Mac Miller, and so here we are with The Divine Feminine. 10 tracks, short, sweet. Now, from what I've heard, it's about Ariana Grande, and despite how poorly things worked out between them, I'm certain that at the time he made this album, he was very much so in love, and so that's going to be kind of the center point of this project. I don't know how much of a concept there is to it. There might just be 10 really cool songs. There might be a storyline to it. We'll find out. I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to be making this video for you guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, follow me on all my social media, it's all on screen. We would love to have you as part of this family. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and we're so close. I know we can do it. Thank you all so much for supporting, and we're just gonna jump right into it. Track 1 is Congratulations, and just so you guys know, the recording that I did for Good Morning, I did not have internet yet when I made that video, but now that I do, I have got Genius open right here, just in case I miss anything. So, most of it will be, of course, me listening and interpreting my own way, but if I miss a lyric or something, I do have Genius right here to help me out. And yeah, I've wasted too much of your time already. Let's get to it. Track 1, Congratulations, featuring Ariana Grande and Bilal. I think that's how you say it. I might have butchered that. Some Ariana in the beginning now.
Love, 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 love. Love, see a love like mine, it's too good to be true. And you too divine to just be mine. You'll remind me of the color blue.
The color blue is associated with tranquility, with peace, and it's supposed to be soothing to the eye. Subconsciously, your body gets a soothing sensation from the color blue, which is why when you look at social media like Twitter and Facebook, and when you look at websites like PayPal or any website that usually uses blue for the color, you know, Tumblr, stuff like that, it's supposed to be a pleasing sensation. You're supposed to enjoy looking at that website way more than, let's say, a website that has red as the main color theme for it. So when he says, you remind me of the color blue, it's like he's saying that she soothes him. You know, being with her is soothing to his soul, not just to his eyes, which means she's pleasant to look at, but being around her calms him down, which is really cool. And if anybody has ever been in love or infatuated with somebody, they know what that's like, so. Oh yeah. These strings are awesome. They feel super cinematic. It's almost like a love scene in a movie.
If we made it last to be a bargain, Mr. Charming, that is my department. You was there before the fancy cars, and you was there when I was just a starving artist, when the car was having trouble starting. Time I call your phone, you better pick up your cell. I swear to God, I'm a freak out if it goes straight to voicemail. Well,
that I wouldn't even classify that as jealousy. If you're gonna freak out if you call her and it goes straight to voicemail, that's really obsessive and possessive and kind of abusive. It's no reason to freak out. Phones die. People lose track of their phones all the time. Girls put their phones in their purse, leave it on vibrate. They don't know their phone's ringing. 90% of the time, it's gonna be okay. 99% of the time. Let's respect the ladies. Let's let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Don't freak out if it goes straight to voicemail. So we get this really cinematic, this really romantic opening track from Mac Miller. The production is really cool. It's got this awesome movie scene kind of lovey-dovey vibe to it with the strings, and then they start plucking the strings. It gives it a really light-hearted feel in some of the transitions. Soft piano in the background. It almost feels like you're sitting in a lounge, just having a really fancy dinner with the person that you love while you listen to the music part of this track. Now, some of the lyrics are a little concerning because you know, he kind of admits to only thinking about sex in kind of a joking way. When you hear that, and then, is it before or after? I think just a couple lines after, he starts talking about how he gets super upset and freaks out if the phone goes straight to voicemail. So you get this image of somebody who's never really known happiness. You know, he says that all I've ever known is the color gray. He's never had anything like this before, and so now that he's got it, he's obsessed with it. And it's really unhealthy, especially if you're in a relationship with another person, because that other person also has thoughts, feelings, and emotions going through them at the same time. So it's like, even though you may never have experienced this before, this is totally new and addicting to you, and you want that person to be yours and with you 24/7, that person has their own desires. And so when you get that possessive and obsessive over this person, and at the same time kind of admitting to only wanting to have sex with them, it doesn't sound very healthy. But then at other points, you know, he gets really romantic, says that she reminds him of the color blue, soothes his soul. You know, your loveliness brings me sunshine. So it really is, it doesn't sound like it's an abusive relationship. It just sounds like it's something so new and fresh to him that he's obsessed with it and addicted to it. So it does maintain a little bit of an innocence, but it is concerning listening to that, because that might be the beginning of why their relationship ended up not working out, if he really felt that way and was that possessive of her. But that's me maybe over-analyzing the lyrics, or I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, so don't take everything I say at face value, but I thought it was a really cool track. I think it's, you know, it's got a great vibe to it. So that's the opener. And next track is Dang, featuring Anderson .Paak. Let's get it. A little bit of a dance track now. Yeah.
Can't keep on losing you over complications.
Oh.
Gone too soon. Wait.
My hand on my face, all red in the face, looking at you like, wait. I know I ain't a saint if it ain't too late. Said, we both know that's some bullshit. Okay, we be fighting, we be reunited.
I'm loving the bass line, I'm loving the horns, I'm loving the guitar. This whole production just is so groovy and so funky. It's got a really great soul vibe to it. Now, so far in this track, Mac Miller is talking about the frustrations that his girl is going through, because at times he acts childish and he comes home late and she can't trust him, and she, you know, her frustrations end up making her leave, and he keeps losing her to these complications, to these silly little arguments. So what I thought was going to be 10 tracks of just love songs, basically, really hasn't been like that so far. The first track was kind of lovey-dovey, but this one so far has been really honest. You know, they're fighting, and they have these misunderstandings between each other, which is cool to see, because he's not just infatuated with this person. So again, we see a little bit of this this frustration in Mac. You know, he mentions that he's red in the face. You know, and towards the end, when he says, "Where the hell you going? Where you taking this trip to? Don't move, don't stay." You know, he seems very conflicted. He seems like he's really trying to control where she's going and what she's doing. You know, and he's insisting, even though that she wants nothing to do with him anymore. He's calling her while he's drunk, and he says it's complicated, it's keeping him up late, he can't concentrate, and he keeps pestering her, you know. And again, it seems almost obsessive, and I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but it doesn't seem healthy at all. Musically, this song is awesome, you know. It's really fun, it's really groovy, and it's going to be a blast to dance to. But if you're analyzing what he's saying, a lot of it is a little worrisome. But let me know how you guys interpret this, if you guys think the same thing, or if, you know, let me know in the comments. So smooth, dude. I love the horns. Horns and strings are like everything. Wow! This production is crazy. Yeah! Little percussive instruments. Oh! Yeah! Yo, this song is crazy so far. So It starts off with these really awesome horns, right? I'm like addicted to these horns. And, you know, just really wavy. He's going, you know, whoa, whoa, whoa. Just kind of vibing. That's the intro to the song, is just a vibe, just setting the mood. The hook, asking the girl to stay, you know, it follows a little bit of the same feel of the last track where she wants to leave and he doesn't want to let her. So he's asking her to stay. There's a little bit of a concept here, a little bit of a follow-up to that last track. That beat switch up for the verse is incredible. The production is awesome. The drums are awesome. The percussion is awesome. Super dope so far.
Take me, give me peace of mind. It's only she and I. Ocean floor, how deep we dive. We be high, looking for another fucking tree to climb. What I think about is what I wanna do. So, you know, I don't wanna.
So, in this one, he asked her to stay. You know, he's coming after her, and she didn't want anything to do with him in the last track. In this one, he's, you know, asking her, why do you gotta stay? Why do you gotta keep me guessing? You give me the silent treatment. I don't know why I'm saying anything at all. You keep saying it's too late. Goodbye, goodbye. Later on in the track, he says, she's playing hard to get, and I read between her lines. And he keeps asking her to stay, and she ends up staying, which is cool because, you know, he says the way you walk into the room. So if she's walking to the room, that means that she's down to stay, you know, and she hasn't left. And at the end, of course, you know, she's moaning and they're having sex. It's good because it implies that there's consent. It implies that he's right and she was just playing hard to get. A lot of times though, in real life, do girls play hard to get sometimes? Sure, but don't read between lines. Make sure that you know exactly what is going on and what you're doing and what she wants you to do, because as soon as I heard she's playing hard to get, I read between her lines, I was again, you know, concerned with the last couple tracks talking about the abusive stuff and the obsessive stuff. When you get here and she clearly wants to go, and then he says she's just playing hard to get, and he keeps insisting, again, I was a little worried, but, you know, I got to the part where, you know, she's walking to the room and she ends up staying, so she consents, which is good. But, again, musically, awesome. You know, the trumpets is just absolutely incredible. I love the way that these songs have been laid out so far. With their switch ups and with the production as a whole. Next track is Skin. Again, with the horns. Yeah. That bass line.
You hide your skin like it's shy or just something wrong. Finally, I made a fucking song.
Nice.
And now I lift my fingertips and get your clitoris, and I miss
Whoa!
in this trip. It's just the way that we are. Superfly, I'm Mr. Bowie, blow your mind. Hottest June July. I wanna make your world so fun. Girl, you my painting, you my band-aid for my damaged soul. I paint the planet gold swim.
So we get this really extremely sexual song from Mac Miller now. And this is, you know, we get the first track, he's infatuated with the girl. Second track, he screws up, she wants to leave. Third track, we find out she's playing hard to get, and she's just messing with him, and you know, they end up going to the bedroom. And this is them in the bedroom, that's what I'm assuming. And he gets very descriptive, so if you've got kids, well, maybe you made them while you listen to this, but don't let them listen to this. But yeah, you know, the lyrics, of course, are super suggestive, and the production, of course, is very much so that vibe, you know, for late at night, baby making, freaky deaky, tweaky tweaky, squeaky squeaky. And it's a great track, you know, it's a really cool song. It's fun to listen to for sure, but you know, this isn't really the time for me to be listening to it, you know what I mean? If it's just a playthrough of this project and you're just listening to it, you might skip through this, because this is one of those tracks that requires you to be in that mood and in that moment to listen to. You need to cool off a little bit. This is Cinderella featuring Ty Dolla $ign. So we're getting a Ty Dolla feature. Almost always a cheat code feature. He never lets me down. I need to prepare myself.
I've been waiting all night for this moment.
Nice.
I've been waiting all year for this moment. Okay, your legs like a store, they open up and you got people in that.
Ooh.
Been there every night for weeks at a time. something better than the first time. I'll be at your service,
Yeah.
like checking at the curbside. You don't have to spend another second.
Couple of hi-hat rolls now. Let's get it.
I've been waiting all night for this moment.
Yeah.
Waiting all year for this moment.
Ty Dolla, dude. He's killing this, dude.
You started getting crazy, told me fuck you like a whore. I thought you was an angel, now you yelling to the floor. You used to tell me all the time I ain't so tired. You always set me straight. The sex is great, but heaven's sakes, I need it every day.
Another switch up in the beat.
I've been literally curving all these. Hey now, I'm saying my only way out is the way in. Rose like God on my side. This time, well, been meaning to.
This production is so awesome. Okay, so this track, I didn't even pay attention to the fact that it's over 7 minutes long when it first started. We get this really awesome production that just switches up a little bit of, it switches up a couple elements every now and then. You know, they use a different kick, they use a different pattern, they break down the beat here, you know. But all in all, it's a really solid song. Production-wise, the drums will definitely get you going. It's got a great vibe to it. The Ty Dolla $ign hook is, again, awesome. It's really fun to listen to. These verses from Mac, where he just, again, paints this picture of wanting this girl and being with her and having sex with her, and her fragrance hasn't faded. They end up going back to his suite and they end up having sex, and, you know, and he says that he respects the game, you know, even though the sex is great, she keeps him in line, and just really admiration, all in all, throughout this track for this woman. You know, we get this outro where he's basically saying that he wants to be able to write her letters, and it's fitting that right after love he writes his name. It looks like God's on his side now because she's in his life. It feels so much better when the weather isn't rain and that she's in his life and that she's the sunshine, like he mentioned a couple tracks before in his life. It's just it's a really long song where he basically just expresses his admiration and his love for the person, and also his desire to be with that person physically. It's not too much to read into. There's not too much of like a really deep concept here. This is really just passion. Throughout this entire project so far, there's just been a lot of passion, and it's cool. It's really great to listen to because it's awesome to see people in love. You know, it brings back a couple memories. It brings back really cool feelings, and it's really fun to see somebody going through this. You know, these really crazy roller coaster like emotions, and it's been really cool so far for sure. Next track is I'm not gonna know how to say this. Planet Goddamn featuring Njomza. Totally butchered that. Is it Njomza? I don't know. Let me know how to say that in the comments, please, because I'm at a loss. I'm loving this sound so far.
My mind over the times when this love was so divine, but now it's feeling like without you. Feeling like how the fuck did we get into a place we ain't accustomed to loving inside of.
Hold up, I need to run that back. I need to listen to the lyrics again. I got so lost in this beat. The bass line is so sick, the feel, the vibe to it, the R&B vibe is so dope. I'm gonna rewind it.
How the fuck did we get into a place we ain't accustomed to loving inside of? I know I'm out of my mind more often than not. You know, I'm used to giving this all. Tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth.
Yeah.
Na 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 na. Show me you, show me you, show me you.
Dope. Yeah.
Show me you, show me you. Been through adolescence and changing direction, yeah, I paid attention to it. It's never been easy, but now it's getting ruthless. A little more pain, that's just better music. Girl, what's on your brain? Cause that head is stupid. A lot of people suck at it, but you can execute.
Yo, this track has got such a crazy R&B vibe to it. The production is absolutely fantastic. I can't get over how awesome Mac Miller's production is. Like, for all his albums, his tracks, they're so just awesomely produced all the time. He puts so much effort into making sure that the beat sounds exactly the way that he wants it to, and it gives off exactly the vibe that he wants it to. With the lyrics, nothing necessarily new. Again, talking about this girl and how she makes him feel, and their intimate life and the physicality of their relationship. He doesn't really say much with these songs, but then again, they're not dedicated to me, so I mean, I don't really need him to say anything to me, but the vibe that it gives off is just so awesome. It's track 7, Soulmate.
Because all you see is every negative thing 10 miles down the road.
Do you want with me? Too high, slow pace.
That womp 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 sound is cool. It's not terrible. I think that introduction was a little too long, and I think that, I don't know whether it's that sound itself that I'm not liking that much, or whether I feel like the beat is too empty and I would like something more to add a couple more effects to it, and maybe cover up that, because, I don't know, it's not doing much for me. All the rest of the beat sounds so good. I don't know what it was. I wanted to like it, honestly. I've liked this project so far. This one just wasn't for me. This track was boring, if I'm being honest, which is unfortunate, because I had just talked about how good his production was, and then here, you know, the production was the best part of the track, but the rest of it was just... Next track is We, featuring CeeLo Green. Let's go. You know, hopefully this is better than this track. Super dreamy.
Well, you ain't in the mood to argue. Baby, don't you worry, there's some shit to get along to. Some shit I right my wrongs to. Well, I tried to call you. We never talk, we always way too busy fucking.
It's funny he says that because the vast majority of this project has been him talking about having sex. And going back to what I said towards the beginning, it was worrisome, you know, that he was so infatuated and yet all he could think about was the physical aspect of it. It really paints this picture of somebody who's really just crazed for this woman's body, basically. I feel like it takes away from the substance, you know, when there's so much about love you could talk about, and all that you really talk about in your project that's about the woman you love is sex. It's really shallow, which has kind of been a theme so far, for me at least. When I'm analyzing what he's saying, it seems to be a really shallow kind of love, to where all he really cares about is the sex, and that's really what he turns to, you know? Like when he says, "You're the sunshine in my life and you soothe my soul," it seems as though the only time that she is that and does that for him is when they have sex. Yeah, it is worrisome, you know. It's not like a "I'm so in love with you" type of project. It's more like a "I really want you and having sex with you feels good, so let's just do that forever." You know, their conversations throughout this project have been shallow. She's tried to leave him. He seems really possessive. He says right here, "We never talk." So yeah, this relationship is definitely not a very fleshed out relationship at all that he's got. It's really shallow. This project so far has been cool, has been really good, but it could have been so much better because there's so much more you could talk about. But then again, it goes back to the beginning when he says, "I've never really known anything like this before." He's never really had this type of relationship before. And so everything is so new to him. And I guess, yeah, when you could say that he's inexperienced. He doesn't really know how to maintain a relationship like this because he's never had one before. And so he really just focuses on what feels good about the relationship, the physical part of it. So yeah, you could consider it immaturity, I guess. You know, he mentions in another track that he's immature and that's one of the reasons she's frustrated with him. So yeah, I guess in a way it's kind of all making sense now, where it's the divine feminine. And divine, of course, means godly and heavenly. We get this image of him being very much so inferior to her in that she's painted as a goddess and he's just a man. She's so much more mature and he's just this child who's just discovering this feeling and just wants the sex and the shallow part of the relationship, and she's way too good for him and she tries to walk away and he doesn't really want to let her, and he's just kind of like this child throwing a tantrum throughout this entire project because he thinks it's love, but really it's just infatuation. That's kind of the picture that this project so far has been painting for me.
I say we sound better than you or me. Baby, you could be my. Time will tell if I'm alive and well, cause when I'm by myself I find that I keep flying high. Sometimes I must remind myself, baby, you could be my. Yeah.
I can see so much better.
His voice is so soothing. And here he says, loving me in spite of me, bless your heart. So she knows just how bad he is. She knows how immature, how shallow he is, but she still loves him. And so she's merciful, like a divine figure, you know, like a god or a deity should be, which is another reason why he's painting her as this heavenly being. So this track is incredibly produced. It's super wavy. The background vocals, the guitar, the wavy wah-wah sounds that the guitars got to it, the filters, you know, on their vocals. CeeLo Green's voice is just... But like I said, the lyrics, you know, it's funny that he mentions it. I mean, it's probably the point, right? The fact that he mentions it in this track, that they never talk, they're always too busy having sex. He must have done this on purpose. He must have painted this picture of this shallow dude who just is so inexperienced and immature in love and is experiencing this infatuation for the first time. It's got to be on purpose, because that is what makes the female in this picture seem so divine, is the fact that he is so common. You know what I mean? It's got to be intentional, and if that is the case, then Mac Miller, again, incredible. You know, the concept is definitely there, and it's really interesting to pick this apart. But if it's not intentional, if this is actually what his idea of love is, which I doubt that. I very much so assume that it was intentional. If that is your idea of love, then there is something wrong with that idea. And the person that is with you is going to keep trying to leave and is never going to be truly happy with you, because it's a shallow idea of love. And love is so much more complex than that. You know, he mentions it here, which is what leads me to believe that it is intentional, which is awesome, because it, again, like I said, it makes the female in the picture seem so much more divine. It really speaks to Mac Miller's brilliance in this project. So, great track. And this is track 9, my favorite part, featuring Ariana Grande.
Why am I getting me so smile?
This right here, yeah.
I built it for you are, and baby, that's my favorite part. See me, I got you covered. I'ma be your lover. You might be the one to even try. Yeah, said, don't let them hurt you ever. I know you far too smart.
The guitars are so smooth.
If you wanna stay, but taking for my brain, I can make some time for something so divine.
Her voice, dude, jeez. I wish there was more Ariana in this project. I think that she is incredibly talented, and I think that she would have been awesome in a lot of these songs, you know? Her voice is just so beautiful, and this track just feels so good to listen to. It's super fun. You can tell how in love they were with each other at the time. You know, they both sound like they're having such a great time in this track. Ariana's feature is awesome. The hook is super catchy. The verses are nice and short. It's a really quick, fun track to listen to, you know? It's gonna make you bounce. This is the last track. God is Fair, Sexy, Nasty, featuring Kendrick Lamar. Oh! This jazzy feel, Kendrick had to be on here.
Bullet to your rose, and I want your better foes. Don't you know your body been mine?
East side between guys, I eat up. Myself, tried to give her up, but she fucked so well. Man, that bitch so cold. Man, that bitch so cold. I'm up, bro, you still be young. Never
felt this way before. I need you more than keys and doors. I need you sleeping next to me. The blankets. Hot summertime light. Bullet to your rose, and I want your pedal fold. Don't you know your body been mine?
I need to feel your touch. You don't reveal too much. Don't hide yourself at all. I just can't help but fall.
Nice.
People respected him and he was good to everybody. He knew the people he worked with all adored him.
Based on what I see on Genius, that was his grandmother talking on the outro about her and his grandfather, and I think that was a really cool way to end this project off. This was a really cool song by him and Kendrick. I think that it's a really cool feature by Kendrick. You know, it definitely feels, it doesn't feel like it was a forced feature, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like Kendrick had to modify himself too much to try and be on the same track as Mac Miller, even though their styles are a little bit different. They meshed very well together in this track. And I think this project, like I said, is really about maturing in love and revealing how somebody who is inexperienced and immature might mistake infatuation for love. And they might be really shallow, and way more shallow than they even expect. He paints this picture of this guy who is immature and shallow and really just wants to be around this girl and to control her and manipulate her and have sex with her because he's infatuated and he thinks that he's in love with her because she's just divine to him. And the fact that he is the way that he is makes her seem even better to us, the listener, because we start to think of this guy as, you know, abusive and obsessive. And it really is an interesting picture that he paints. At least that's what I took from it. You know, it's a really cool commentary on infatuation and emotions and love and obsession and lust, all in one project in 10 tracks. To get that much out of it is really cool. It's definitely another experience. You know, Mac Miller albums are experiences. They're rides that you have to go on. So I enjoyed this project. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Give the video a like, a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. I'll see you guys next time. I'll be back very soon. And don't forget to add me on my social media. It's all on screen. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.